Yeah, got it. Find it.
All right. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Hi, everyone. I see some familiar names again. Nice. Nice to see you, Maya. All right. Let's hope that more people will come in. And feel free to post your questions. So we'll wait for more people to show up. Okay. Claudia, welcome. All right. Welcome to Authentic Expressions. And again, this program is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I am going to show you a clip of the services offered by Laurel Ridge. Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, where am I? Okay, let me see if I can find it. Okay, share. I'm trying to share. Okay. I'm trying to share the video from Laurel Ridge. Okay. Anyways, it took me a while to locate it, but I am going to read the services offered by Laurel Ridge. Again, this program is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you in your journey to wellness. They offer services for children, adolescents, adults, military, dependent, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. Services offered include inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for a no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours and 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope. All right, welcome everybody. Good to see you all again. So today's topic is on what? Self-sabotaging relationships. Do you sabotage your relationships? So would love to hear your questions. So tell me about some of your concerns about relationship. Okay, Zach goes, what are some specific ways people self-sabotage? Excellent question. So self-sabotage is, to me, the first thing that comes to my mind when we talk about self-sabotage is when people don't respect and honor themselves. Many times they are wishy-washy, they say something, they do something different. They behave one way and their words reflect something else. So when others around you see that your wishy-washiness, your inconsistency in your words and your actions, then people will not take you seriously. And then when people don't take you seriously, they will also not follow up and follow through because they know, okay, I can get by in this relationship. I can also equally disrespect the person. And then you wonder why people don't follow through, they don't do what they say, and they don't do things consistently. And so you question the relationship, but then you have to look at the mirror and see how you conduct yourself. What are some things you do that are consistent and some things you do that are inconsistent? When people track your inconsistency, they will give you the same inconsistency. So then the relationship again mirrors what you put out. And when we self-sabotage ourselves, our children, partners pick that up, that you don't follow through and that they can walk over you. So that sets the stage for the relationship. So specific ways self-sabotage could be in your own delivery, your own personal relationship to yourself, your relationship with your children, and then it plays out into relationships in social setting or with a partner. So you have to look at yourself rather than look at people and put blame on others. So Claudia, you have a question. How can we support parents of children with ADHD who, due to exhaustion or guilt, start to unknowingly self-sabotage their relationship with their child or partner? Okay, so few parts to this question. So there is parents with ADHD children. So the parents are already exhausted and they feel guilty. Many times when you parent out of guilt, people will pick that up. Like a parent who feels guilty because of the divorce and they overindulge their children, and children pick that up, then they will continue to use that guilt button to work the parent. And in this situation, the child with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, they will see that the parents who work with each other are inconsistent, and children usually want to get their way. They want to self-indulge. So when they see that you're exhausted, they will know when to work you and they will know what questions to ask to trigger you, to get you to cave in. And they know that if they keep pushing, they ask it 10 times. And then in the 11th time, you cave in. And they will use that button, they will use that format. So you as a parent ought to function out of being rational, out of being objective, rather than out of guilt, desperation, or exhaustion. If you find yourself using that energy, it is important that you take time to reflect and see how you set yourself up to fail, how you set your partner. If you're a couple, it's important to think about how you can work together, not work against each other. Many times, children will know when you and your partner are inconsistent. They will also know that they can ask so many times. They can ask during different times of the day. They can ask when you're exhausted. They will track all these. So their minds are very sharp to be in tune to your weakness. And that's when they come in and do they're asking and ask for to do things that you would normally not give in. So you have to be ahead of the game. So be more in tune to how you want to function rather than when you are weak. So be clear about how you want to put your game plan together so that you function out of clarity and out of objectivity with your children. So talk about game plans that work for you. Talk about to your children about the importance of asking for what they want, not at the eve, not in the later part of the day, but have discussions that are important. Don't just answer questions because they are posed, and say you can also take time out and answer questions when you have more energy. So don't always cave in and answer questions. Let them know that you want to think about it. All right, let's hear. Okay, Jeannie goes, how do you train yourself to stop self-sabotaging, especially when you are by yourself? Okay, stop self-sabotaging. My question is specific to what situations? To me, we sabotage ourselves when we don't honor our words to ourselves. We you want to come from a place where you know your values, when you know what principles you want to work with, what principles you want to abide by. Like you want to not let people suck up or, deplete your energy. So you want to conserve your energy. So think about the principles in which you want to function, that you want to say yes to yourself more often and no to others. So ponder on what principles that is important to you. What do you value? So be clear about your values, be clear about your time, be clear about your finances, that you want to live within these principles. The principles of, if you say something, do it. The principle of, if you commit to something, make sure that you follow through. But make commitments sparingly. Don't make commitments all over the place where you deplete yourself. It's important that you identify what principles that are important to you, what principles you want to work with. And you don't have to start with a whole lot of principles. You can start with the principle of, I want to respect myself. And to respect myself, what does it mean? That if I say something, I'm going to do it. If I ask my children to do something, I'm going to follow up with it. So with self-respect, then comes the principle of consistency. Don't just deliver empty words and then not follow through. So when you do all these principles that is clear in your head, then you have clarity about how you want to function. And that's when you commit to yourself more rather than sabotage yourself. So the other opposite of self-sabotaging is commitment to yourself. You commit to your principles, commit to self-respecting behaviors, and not just allow people to walk all over you. When you're clear about how you want to function, what principles you want to live by, what habits you want to consistently work with, then you will have a lot of clarity, and then you will function out of these principles, and then your social relationship, your significant relationship, your relationship with your parents, your children will all shift according to your principles. So take time to sort out and be clear about how you want to function. All right, Felicia asks, okay, Felicia, nice. Glad you're here. All right, Janine goes, what are some of the most common ways people self-sabotage? And how do you prevent and resolve this kind of self-harming behaviors? A common self-sabotaging behavior is when we allow people to take advantage of us, when we allow people to walk all over us. When people see that, they know that that is your weak point, and then it sets other people up to be more in tune to what your weaknesses are. And that's when people start to take advantage of you. Like even in the school setting with children, they know which child is the easiest to pick upon, because a bully will identify, okay, this child is easy to pick upon because he or she does not speak up. He or she cries. He or she does this. He or she gives in quickly because of their anxiety. So then others will start to pick on this child because they know that it's an easy target. So you have to look at your own behavior and see what you do to set yourself up. So our inability to stand up for ourselves, our inability to walk away, and we consistently and continually do the back and forth dialogue and bargain and negotiate with people, even though you know that it's not healthy. When you take time to do the back and forth, people will know that they can push you and push your buttons, and soon you will cave in. It's important, again, like I said, to walk away when you find yourself in these situations so that you don't set yourself up to allow people to trigger you, push your buttons. Okay. How do you prevent this kind of self-harming behavior? Learn to call pause when you find yourself in situations that is sticky, that's uncomfortable. Learn to say that, I want to think about this. Learn to walk away. Learn to go, at this time, I'm not willing to negotiate, but I want to think about it. So use words that is about protecting yourself, about protecting your dignity, and walk away. Don't just stand there to negotiate when you're at your, so to called weak point. Always use some standard phrases that say, I want to think about it. I'm at I want to give it more thought. I'm not able to think clearly, and I would like to find a different time to converse about this. So you protect yourself and you set room for people to respect you with simple phrases. Okay, Carolyn asked, how do you help clients who relapse on alcohol and sabotage their relationships and then have a pity party? Okay, there are multiple factors to that question, multiple points. So clients who relapse and then they sabotage and hurt the relationship and then have a big pity party. And the pity party could be, for me, or pity party could be about blaming other people. Blaming other people, if only this didn't happen, if only you didn't do this, if only, the circumstances were different. But it's important to hold people accountable. While they may want to blame their family, their partner, their children, or even their co-workers, it's important to present the question of, so how did you set yourself up so that these series of things happen? And as a clinician, your job is to have honest conversations with people, not protective conversations. It's important to remember that you owe your clients truth. While they may not want to hear it, it's important that you ask questions to help them think about it. Think about it in terms of, what gift do I want to give this person? And the gift is, how did you set yourself up prior to your relapse? A relapse can happen 5 months before time. It could happen even a year when they start romanticizing and they start thinking about, how good a hit would feel, how good a drink might feel, what a relief they might experience when they consume the alcohol or the drug. So address issues related to how they set themselves up before the relapse. What are some emotional factors that impacted their current relapse behavior? And look at the globally, how do they set themselves up to relapse in their substance use? And also, how do they set themselves up so that the relationship would fall apart? Because once we do a certain behavior, it is quite pervasive. You will see it show up in different areas of the person's life. If they have a pity party, they do it at work, at home, with their children, at church, in different places. So you don't isolate the behavior. You will see behaviors show up in all kinds of settings. That's why if you are a clinician, you will know that if you hear one story about self-sabotaging, Chances are you see it all over the place, and you can see it generationally because they learn that behavior from some place. And it could be a parent, it could be a grandparent, or it could be the person who raised them. And then to respond to Carolyn's question, if you're working with recovery patients, think of that acronym HALT, HALT. A person sets themselves up for a relapse when they're hungry, H, angry, lonely, and tired. So you can walk through how they've set themselves up through various aspects. Loneliness can come in the form of keeping problems to themselves, not discussing it. When problems show up, they keep bearing it, or they keep to themselves. They don't talk about it. They don't deal with it with their sponsor. So problems that that you keep bearing it or sweeping it under carpet soon becomes overwhelming. Okay. Yeah, so use the HALT concept with your clients. Okay, Felicia asks, how can you reclaim the self after becoming aware of self-sabotage in relationships with in-laws? That's a great question. Okay, I'm going to read it again. How can one reclaim their self after becoming aware of self-sabotage in relationship with their in-laws? Okay, you reclaim yourself. Once you track your own pattern, and once you come to the realization that you have allowed people to take advantage of you, especially your in-laws, take slow steps. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be complicated. Start by saying, this is what I will do, what you will follow up with, and stick to your guns. Many times, as a daughter-in-law, you may feel guilty, and your in-laws may know how to use guilt, know how to use, well, I did this for you in the past. They may use expectations on you. All I'm asking is just this one time. So you look for those dates, or you look for those statements that I call baits, or statements that are seductive, that causes you to slip into that slippery slope. It's important that you respect yourself. Once you have committed to, I can only do this one time a week. And then you have to remind them that, I'm only committed to one time. And then you put yourself out of that discussion so that, there's no back and forth. Remember, anytime you put yourself in situations that allow people to debate you, question you, poke you, jab you, it's a self-sabotaging behavior. Many parents do that with children. Many parents do that with partners. Many parents do that with coworkers, and then they wonder why they keep getting dumped upon. So you have to enter into relationships with clarity that I'm only going to do this. I'm only going to help you out with this chore one time, if it's so in-law. I'm willing to do it once, but I'm not willing to do it 4 days, 5 days. I'm willing to take you back and forth one time, or whatever you commit to. And remind them, this is just one time, and then walk away, hang up, learn to lie, say, I got another call coming in. People are not upfront with you, so you have to use words that say, I have another call coming in, I have another commitment I have to go to, I have a client that's showing up. So protect yourself. Don't always give all your freedom away. Okay, let's have additional questions. We We have some good questions. Let's see what else do we have. So Carolyn goes, you love HALT. I hope you can use that with even your own growth, your own self. HALT is not just for recovery, but for different parts of our relationships. Okay, what other questions do you have about self-sabotage? Okay. All right. Carolyn asked, some people do not do well with AA. I refer them to a Buddhist recovery for an experience to see how what their approach is like. Do you have any recommendations? Okay. It could be recovery program. So the Buddhist recovery is very interesting. Um, so I'm thinking recovery programs, I think sometimes people do better in one-on-one situations because if you do a recovery program, it's usually in a group. And in a group setting, it's very easy for people to hide and complain about the group. Well, they were talking about this. They were not doing this. So the attitude outside of the group is also very similar to the attitude they bring into the group. So usually in recovery groups, sometimes if it's too large, then they will start to complain about what they are not getting. But then it's important to confront the client. You know, what do you need that will help you get to what you want? Because you can complain all day long. This is your recovery. If you're so busy complaining, are you also busy finding solutions? Because part of self-sabotaging is we complain, complain, complain. We moan and groan, but we seldom take steps. So your job as a clinician is to also think about, how is this pattern of self-sabotaging showing up in your recovery? Okay, so choice model. So Zach says that here. Okay, yes, accountability. Always take accountability because we can blame. It's easy to blame. It's easy to complain about what we don't get, but it takes steps to follow through with what we want. And many times in recovery, people see how they have gotten by, how they've gotten away, and they don't want to take the extra step to do what is necessary. So it's important to address those issues. It's important to look at the patterns of how they cope generationally. Because in recovery, you have to ask also how is their coping similar to that of their parents? How do their parents sabotage? How do they consistently not follow through? So it's an oxymoron. They consistently don't follow through. And if they do follow through, it is maybe for a short period of time. So it's important to think about how people set themselves up to fail. So in working with them, look at their patterns, look at generational patterns, look at patterns that are effective, patterns that are isolated, that are patterns that are about blame, about accusations, rather than about taking accountability. So help their clients see what they are doing to continuously set themselves up to wallow and to marinate in old damaging behavior. If once they are in the recovery phase, it doesn't mean they stop using tools that they used before they were in recovery. So point out the things that they do that parallel their pre-recovery days. All right, let's hear some questions, additional questions. Christine, okay. All right, let's see. Felicia says great information. Okay. Self-sabotaging is, okay, I'm also going to bring up how people sabotage themselves so that their children disrespect them. So many times in self-sabotaging, you may also look at how you relate to your children. So if you respect yourself and you follow through, children too will respect themselves, will respect you, and they're more likely to follow through. Again, learn to walk away you so that you don't encourage the back and forth. Okay, I see that our 30 minutes is up. Again, I want to thank you for joining the live YouTube live stream. So next week, the topic is on how to overcome the toxic habit of self-criticism. So come join us, and we will look at some habits that will serve you and that do not serve you. Okay, again, I'm grateful that Laurel Ridge is sponsoring this program. I'm going to read again their services. They provide personalized treatment for all populations. Their services are for children, adolescent, adults, military dependent, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. So they have inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591. Thank you for attending this session. I hope to see you next week. Bring a friend, bring a question about relationship issues. How do we, okay, the topic again. Topic again is how to overcome toxic habit of self-criticism. So this is a common habit. So bring a question and I will see you next week.